how do you play in? A lot of these have to have compensating controls because you can't patch them and things like that. So how does that layer into the strategy of how do you get, once you have this visibility, understanding the paths to that visibility, and how do you put controls in to protect things that you can't use traditional, well-developed tools like you have in the PC world?
Yeah, absolutely. So the three things that we always tell people that Armis do is you discover the assets, you understand the asset and the priorities of potential risks, and then you do something about it. Mm-hmm. And that can be a multitude of things. You can kick off a additional scan with Qualys. You can update the ITSM tools in ServiceNow. You can open an incident ticket. Now, to your point about resolution and remediation, absolutely. We want to use what the clients have already invested in. They already have compensating controls. They've already got next-gen firewalls. They've already got probably some form of access control systems. But it's important to take all this intelligence from Armis and employ that in a sort of centralized policy so that we're making a good decision based upon the context and intelligence that we're giving. So another example is, we saw a infusion pump. It was in a hospital. It was actually, we saw it connected to a patient. It was turned on, and we saw malware on that infusion pump. And it was, we thought, hang on a second. What do you do in this circumstance? Do you just turn off that infusion pump? No, you don't. So if you give that context over to the medical facility and say, hey, go send down a nurse to sit with the patient. And then once we disconnect the patient, then go quarantine that device and send it back for remediation purposes. So that level of context, again, feeds into the remediation aspects of what we do.
That makes a lot of sense. So kind of that back to the basics, like you were mentioning, like today, at the end node for PCs, you have all these advanced, we call it EDR, node detection and response capabilities, your CrowdStrikes, your Sentinel-1s, your Microsoft Defender, but none of those, you can't apply those, you can't put those kind of controls on these IoT devices. So now you almost have to go back to where the PC world was maybe 10 years ago and start working your way back, like you said, to the basics of how do you protect these things, because those are total holes in the world of those tools.
That's right. For 95%, and it's growing that ratio between managed, where you can put an agent on it versus unmanaged. We just can't have an agent because the permutations of operating systems and devices is massive. We are tracking somewhere in the magnitude of 20 million different types of things that we're seeing.